Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea. It is time for Sports Frenzy 2.0, coming to you on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and wherever you listen to find podcasts like ours. I am the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the conquistador, David Height.
And welcome back to our third episode here of Sports Frenzy 2.0. We're getting into the swing of things here, so be prepared. We're coming at you fast and furious. We've been around for 30 years between cable TV, between YouTube, recording in bars, and now coming to you as a podcast. So buckle up, kids. We're going to start off. We talked a little bit about March Madness last week because we were just getting into it night before the first four games. We are taping here on the 24th of March. Now we're down to the Sweet 16 and
boom, go your brackets, kids.
Absolutely. And I cannot get into this tournament yet. And I don't know if it's because my bracket got destroyed quickly, but I'll tell you my experience here, Dave.
Do tell.
I tried. I really did. I tried to watch the Illinois Loyola Chicago game. Blowout. Embarrassing blowout. My pick for the national champion knocked out in the second round.
See, I had Illinois going to the Final Four. But I should have known. I forgot this Loyola team is stacked with upperclassmen. And these are the upperclassmen who were freshmen when they made their big run previously.
And so, I got to tell you something. And I've heard other podcasts and radio hosts kind of touch on this, and we're not trying to be bad people by saying this, but I'm done with the Sister Jean thing. Done with it.
Give the credit where it's due. It goes to their coach.
Yes,
he has a phenomenal system in place.
I get a little bit tired of the super fans, like when the Chiefs made their Super Bowl run. Paul Rudd's a big Kansas City and now he's in the damn State Farm commercials as Patrick Mahomes' stand-in.
Yeah.
I'm over the whole super fan thing. Even at Wrigley Field with my beloved Cubbies, it wears on you every once in a while. Not so Bill Murray. I forgive Bill Murray because he is dyed-in-the-wool, true blue Cubs fan. But, like Eddie Vedder, he's kind of sneaky to me. He kind of jumps around from team to team, but he claims he's one of the greatest Cub fans in the world.
Yeah.
No, not true. All right. So that was day one of when I tried to get into the tournament. I did not watch any of the first four games. And Friday and Saturday, I had a hard time getting into it. So like I said, I tried to watch Illinois and Loyola, and that was Sunday, as I recall. Watched that blowout. I was done. And we'll get to the NASCAR race in our third segment. That's what I switched over to after that Illinois debacle. So Monday, I'm home on Monday. All right, let's give this another shot. I'm really high on Iowa. I really like Garza. I was thinking this is one of those years where it's going to be like a Danny Manning or a Michael Jordan type of run with that one great player.
Yeah.
And they proceed to get their butts kicked by, that was Oregon. Who look really good, by the way. And I know you've got them going to the Elite Eight in your bracket.
Yeah.
But the two games I decided to watch are two massive blowouts with two teams that I thought I had Iowa going to the Elite Eight.
Oh, there you go.
I just kind of, I don't know if that's why the tournament doesn't have that appeal for me this year or what.
So, it's just basketball I find hard to watch anymore because you don't have defense. College, it's really difficult because unlike your mid-majors like Oral Roberts and Loyola, you don't have, and Garza's the rarity in a big-time program, you don't have guys staying 3-4 years. You don't build that rapport, the continuity. You can't really get behind these guys if they're one or two and done. And
absolutely agree.
It's hard to fathom anything at this. And then the college game is starting to develop into the pro game.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people complaining about this tournament specifically because I think like you and I, people are only tuning in to the tournament now because, as you mentioned, there are no 4-year players to follow. There's no Sam Perkins. There's no, Patrick Ewing, guys like that who did stick around 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And at least you got to know them, and you could develop a knowledge of that's why Duke, I knew every player on Duke or North Carolina, even though we're up here in the upper Midwest.
IU back in the day.
Right.
Michigan when they had the big runs.
Right. And then other people are pointing out, like you're talking about how the game's devolving almost into a pro game type of style where there's no defense. They're traveling now.
Yeah. You're taking 3-4 steps.
Like in the
pros.
pros.
No, that is not basketball.
It's ridiculous.
It's hard to watch.
So I do want to go off on a rant here, though. And as I'm going to tie in this little rant with what I was saying about not watching really too much of the tournament to this point, I do not understand how people enjoy betting.
Oh, my God.
David, I stress out about our 5 games that we play every year, our little contests. And we've got the brackets, obviously, for March Madness. And I mentioned again, we'll talk about NASCAR later. And it was a horrible week for me on that, too.
Yeah.
And I stress, and there's no money involved, people. We don't play these games for money. We're supposedly playing them for quote-unquote fun.
And it's a
and I'm
headache.
pulling what hair I've got left out. And Dave can't because he doesn't have any.
Exactly. That's the stress of all this crap.
I just kept thinking, especially on Sunday when it was both the bracket getting destroyed and pummeled beyond recognition, and then the NASCAR race, where for the 3rd week in a row I had an awful pick. I'm thinking, how do people actually put their hard-earned money down on stuff like this? I think I sat down and I thought about it over my entire life. I think I've bet $200 in my entire life on sports.
I've never bet on sports. I don't have the disposable income. I don't know how half these people do.
I don't think they do, Dave. That's my point, is I don't think they do. I think they're just throwing money at I'm so smart, I know sports, I know football, that they think they're going to get the windfall and they're going to be multimillionaires, and they don't realize the odds of that are infinitesimal, that you're going to become a professional gambler who knows how to play point spreads, how to play parlays to the point where you're going to make a living off of it.
Yeah. You can't start betting and lose your damn house trying to figure it out. It's the rarity where you got the guys making the big money. These are the people who have no other life except studying all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And even then, they have the big wins, but they have equally as big losses too. But you don't hear about that part of it.
Exactly.
And why do you think all these sports books can say, oh, your first bet will be free and we'll give you site credit up to X amount? That's because they're making money hand over fist off of you people.
Well, plus gambling is addictive.
It is.
You hook people in with that stuff, and if they don't have the willpower...
Just one more roll, one more roll, one more roll. Yeah, bankrupt.
And I think I told you this last year when this opened up in our state. I signed up for one of those because of that exact reason. And once, after about 3 weeks, I was breaking even, and I'd lost $15-20. I said, nope, out. I'm done. Yeah. And I shut it down. But there are so many people out there, thousands and thousands and thousands of people that can't do that don't have the willpower.
It's the instant gratification, wanting that one big score.
Yeah, and I don't need that in my life. So, sorry, but that's one of those random thoughts that popped into my head and really nagged at me all weekend, was how do people...
And that's all you hear during any sporting event, especially the tournament. This has really been bad with all the commercials for it, antagonizing people to get into this. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, all you see is, you're right. And it's been going on for a while, but as gambling opens up and becomes legal in more and more states, FanDuel is going to start pummeling you. DraftKings is going to start pummeling you with all these ads telling you, oh, well, like you said.
And then you get into the local regional sports books.
This isn't like when I was a kid where my dad would bring home a parlay card from the local bar that they ran a little
hint,
system.
nudge, nudge.
Yeah, under the bar. so to speak.
I had a great grandma who ran numbers out of her neighborhood liquor store.
Yep. Yep. Now it's all above board, and it's probably in many ways more corrupt than it was back then.
Yeah, probably is.
All right, a couple more quick hits on March Madness before we go into the NBA. I just did want to point out, if you didn't get the point from me railing on Illinois and Iowa, the Big Ten sucked. The Big Ten was so disappointing. They are down to one team. They had 9 in, and now they only got...
and down to Michigan.
Yeah, and I bought it. I bought into it, and I thought the Big Ten was going to just dominate this tournament. You know who did? The Pac-12. And
Yeah.
I never thought that would happen. They've got 4 teams left.
Yeah, that's
and like I said,
surprising
Oregon,
there.
From what I saw, Oregon looked, I did see them. They look phenomenal. I didn't see USC, the beatdown they put on Kansas, which I want to say was
another team I had moving fairly well.
Yep. I think I did not write this down. I think that was the 3rd worst tournament loss ever.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Because they got shellacked. I mean, Kansas got just pummeled.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big Bill Self fan, but that was a little bit of a shocker. And again, the whole Pac-12, their performance as a whole is kind of surprising to me. Did you notice, by the way, like, I know you probably watched even less than I did of the tournament. You know Gene Steratore, right?
Yeah.
The rules official from the
Right.
NFL? They've got him doing basketball now.
What?
He's now the hoops rules official for March Madness. How the hell does he know anything about basketball?
What kind of delay do they have so he can flip open the rule book to figure this stuff
that's
out?
That's what I was thinking too. Now all of a sudden you're what, a decades-long career as a ref in the NFL, and now all of a sudden...
now they throw you in.
Yeah.
Just because you're a known name and they have you under contract with the station.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And
that's kind of sad.
Yep. And finally, and I'm going to hand over the NBA stuff here for a bit to Dave, I have to make my weekly rant about Rick Pitino, my favorite coach in the world.
The devil.
Not. Yeah. After Iona lost in the first round to Alabama, I just wanted to point out a couple things from his little presser afterwards. He said he was, quote unquote, in heaven at Iona. He made a reference to God. He used the phrase, to be quite honest. And he says he questions the trust at the big schools.
He's the reason for questioning the trust at the big schools.
The first 2 things I brought up, the devil should not be talking about God or talking about heaven. Okay? Then, if you Google it, look in a psychology text, pathological liars love to use the phrase, to be quite honest, or to be honest with you. When you hear people say that, you're not supposed to trust them.
No, you know they're lying out of their teeth.
Then, of course, finally, for him to question the trust of the big schools is a joke because he was the problem. He's the one that eroded a lot of the trust in the big schools.
Yeah. Look at that huge investigation that ensued.
All right, Dave. NBA, big injuries.
A lot of injuries in the NBA coming out. 3 big ones. Probably the most significant impacting the Lakers, with LeBron James having a high ankle sprain. You know, those just don't go away, kids. That's a 6 to 8 week injury on average. So we'll see how well they weather that. Steph Curry still dealing with the tailbone bruise. He's out at least another week. They're doing an MRI to see if there's any more damage done there. And then LaMelo Ball, broken wrist. That was ugly. And he's done for the season.
I think he's got enough games under his belt where he'll probably still be Rookie of the Year, I would think.
Probably. But still, that hurts them going down the stretch.
Yeah, and like you said with LeBron, the Lakers are going to start sliding, most likely. They've got Utah ahead of them.
Yeah.
I think Denver's ahead of them too, I want to say. Or Phoenix. Maybe it's Phoenix.
Yeah.
And Denver will probably get ahead of them pretty soon.
Yeah. The Lakers, even LeBron, they're known for kind of cruising along and then turning it up right before playoff time. Well, that's going to be a little hard to do here.
Yeah, if they slip down to a 5 or 6 seed, I don't think they'll slip down to the point where they'd have to do that whole play-in tournament.
No, they should be able to avoid that.
Right.
So, and then Miami Heat. This is the start of it, kids. Vaccinated only section for fans. So if you've got your full vaccination, you've got your shots and your 2 weeks passed to make sure it's fully operational, they've got a special section for you. Less restrictions on social distancing, but they're still requiring masks. So it's slowly opening.
Yep. I want to point out Kyrie Irving, a non-injury related absence again for Kyrie. As the Nets,
this guy is a head case.
I would never want him on my team. Never.
You saw signs of this in Cleveland.
Well, he missed 7 games in January. He just kind of disappeared. And it happened to coincide with 2 birthdays of 2 of his family. I think it was his sister and father, 2 birthdays within that 7-day period.
Where he of course, poof, disappears from the team.
Yeah, didn't tell the team what was going on, at least for the first couple days. Video showed him at one of these parties, if not both. And then he popped up in some kind of a political advertisement for somebody in the area. And now he decides he's not going on a 3-game road trip with the Nets. Meanwhile, Kevin Durant's been out for a while. He's got a legitimate injury. So he's leaving James Harden in the lurch to run the whole team. And again, he says it's a quote-unquote family matter. Oh, by the way, Kyrie's birthday happens to fall in this 3-game road trip.
I'm sorry. What other job would an employee be able to get away with this crap?
Absolutely none. No job that I can think of. You know,
play a damn game and you're getting paid for it. Show up. Show some respect to your teammates and your coach. At least have the honesty to let them know what's going on. Yep. Don't be a backhanded douchebag.
It's the entitlement mentality of celebrities and athletes. That's what we're dealing with, and it's not going away, unfortunately. And that's why we're here. We're here to call them out and keep them in line. So that'll do it for our hoop segment. We're going to do a quick promo break here, and we'll be right back with some NFL and baseball news. Hang tight, kids. Hello, all you denizens out there in podcast land. I'm the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the conquistador, Dave Height.
And we're not your typical ranting and raving sports podcast here at Sports Frenzy 2.0. New episodes drop every Thursday, by the way. We're extraordinary ranters and ravers when it comes to sports, NBA, NHL, NFL, anything under the sun that involves sports. We're going to cover it. We're going to rip it apart. So be sure to tune in on Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, and of course, our home base, Spotify and Anchor. And just remember, like Lieutenant Colonel Kilgore said in Apocalypse Now, I love the smell of Sports Frenzy in the morning. Welcome back to Sports Frenzy 2.0, kids. We're taping here episode 3 on March 24th, 2021. I am the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the conquistador, Dave Height. And damn, I wish it was closer to December and Festivus, because I've got a lot of grievances to air with frickin' Ryan Pace, dumbass general manager of the Bears. Oh my God, this guy's killing me. Has no idea how to manage the freaking salary cap. Had to cut Kyle Fuller. Come on, your best corner. Signs immediately with Vic Fangio and the Broncos. Gah.
And if you heard any of the press conference when they talked to him, when he signed with the Broncos, they kept asking him, would you have taken a pay cut to stay in Chicago with the Bears? And he would not give them a direct answer. Wouldn't do it.
No. And he shouldn't.
No,
you know that's what they asked him to do.
And they bring in how old is Desmond Trufant, the guy they brought in?
Oh my God, he signed in 2013.
Yeah. So definitely a downgrade for the Bears at cornerback.
And then Pace tells Akeem Hicks, oh, feel free to look for a trade. You're getting rid of your best defensive lineman, the cornerstone of the defense. Oh,
Yeah,
my
along
God.
with Kyle Fuller, if Akeem Hicks goes, you've basically gotten rid of 2 of your 5 best defensive players.
Yeah.
So
Your defense has gotten oh so much worse, and you've done nothing to improve your offense to this point.
yeah, and then we haven't even brought up Leonard Floyd, who the Bears decided was a disappointment and unceremoniously dumped last year, and the
Yeah.
Rams scooped him up, and he just got a huge mega deal from the Rams because he was awesome when he went to L.A.
Yeah. Come on. And then you get the Andy Dalton press conference. He's a polished professional. He said what needed to be said. I would expect nothing less out of him. But come on, Pace and Nagy didn't even have the balls to show up to the press conference. They left Dalton out there all by himself. And this is a guy you hear from twice a year. Once in the spring, and then at the end of the year for their wrap-up of the season. The guy is a nightmare.
Yeah, and I've said it before. I tried to stick up for him as long as I could, but here over the last 6 or 8 months, I've definitely turned against him because it's obvious. I don't know if anybody could ever be as bad as Jerry Angelo, but Pace is proving to be pretty damn close to the bottom of the barrel.
At least Angelo knew how to deal with the salary cap.
Yeah. Somehow we got under it, but like you said,
But
it
at what
cost us Kyle
cost?
Fuller. Yeah.
And I don't know why in the hell Robinson signed the franchise tag to stay with this train wreck.
Because you really see them giving him a long-term extension? Do you think
No.
he really wants a long-term extension since he doesn't know who the quarterback's going to be?
Yeah.
Beyond this year?
And here you are with Dalton. Oh, they said this is my team, I'm the starting quarterback. Well, guess what? They also said that to Mike Glennon back a few years ago as well. So careful on that, kids.
And then there's mock drafts. Mock drafts are a dime a dozen. But a couple mock drafts have the Bears trading up to try to
With what?
That's the thing. The mock drafts that I heard discussed on the Score out of Chicago, the ones that they had heard that the Bears were going to try to trade the number 20 pick, their first round pick, and then their second round pick to move up about 7 or 8 slots to try to get either Mac Jones or the kid out of North Dakota State.
How about we keep the 20th pick in our subsequent picks, and we look at a frickin' offensive tackle to replace Leno?
What I have seen, they're not going to be around at 20. And I really don't want to move up to get Mac Jones.
No. If you're going to move up, get a stud tackle.
So
build for the future with that line because you're going to suck enough to get a top 5 pick next year.
Yeah. And of course, Dave and I both, when we were doing our prep for the show, shockingly referenced the fact that we heard today that Joe Flacco signed to be the backup to Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. Why do you wonder? Does that bother Bears fans like Dave and I? Because we'd heard rumors for about 2 or 3 hours yesterday that the Eagles were considering trading
to bring Foles back to backup Hurts.
And we
were on cloud 9 to get rid of this guy.
In the streets, man. And of course now, once again, for what seems like the 30th time here in the NFL offseason, our dreams and our hopes are shattered once again.
This whole Bears situation is so underwhelming. It's frustrating for Bears Nation.
This is the most frustrated I've been with this team since the Super Bowl, back when they started Grossman over Orton.
Oh my God!
Pulled Thomas Jones to play Cedric Benson. Wasted a 7-0 lead thanks to Devin Hester. That was the last time I remember being so frustrated.
That was a game that, yes, Manning got the win, but he didn't win it.
No.
Grossman literally threw the game away.
Yeah, we got Bears weather. We got the lead. As I mentioned, we were spotted 7 points thanks to the kickoff return.
And stupid coaching by Lovey.
Yeah, and what does that say? That looking back now, and I was never a Lovie Smith fan, but he's probably the best coach we've had in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
What does that say? Yeah. All right, one more note here I've got. Dan Snyder. I love the NFL. They're such hypocrites. They've been wanting Dan Snyder out of the league for years. They've tried to run him out. They finally forced him after he was stubborn about the name. They finally forced him to drop the offensive moniker known as Redskins.
And how has he survived this whole cheerleaders debacle?
They're still investigating that. But the news came out today that instead of trying to force him out, a la maybe a Donald Sterling in the NBA with the Clippers,
right?
They've now opened up the pathway for him to buy out the other owners, so he'll end up owning basically the whole team by himself.
What the hell happened? How much did he pay off Goodell?
I don't know. And then as far as the name goes, I heard that there's a strong possibility they might stay with Washington football team.
Yeah.
They will definitely stay with that until next year.
But it might be permanent because people are starting to catch on to it, and they haven't had anything better come up.
I'm not going to apologize for calling them the Redskins. Sorry.
History, people.
Yes.
Stop rewriting it. You can't cancel it.
Yeah, we've got some stuff coming up about cancel culture. Seems like we're going to have every week, especially on our weekend edition. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Your Dolphins, I know primarily Bears fans, but Dave roots for the Dolphins as I root for the world champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, rub it in. The Dolphins were on such an upswing. And now, Isaiah Wilson, who they just traded for a few weeks back, they just waived because of all the pending charges from his high-speed chase and arrest. Where was your due diligence prior to the trade? Why did you not know about this?
Yeah, it happened in January, so they should have known. Or somebody, like you said, should have been doing some research.
Somebody dropped the frickin' ball in Miami.
Yeah. All right, moving on to baseball. Do you have something for me, Mr. Conquistador?
Yes. MLB really now, after how many decades, a century plus, cracking down on doctoring the baseball. They want to hold a little Vagisil on the shoulder.
Pine tar, yeah.
Yeah, now they really want to crack down because they can measure spin rates. Ooh, whoop-de-frickin-do. So you're going to crack down. You're going to have the balls taken out of play, assigned to a pitcher, and you're going to test them in a freaking lab to determine what substance is used. And you're going to discipline players. All right, you come out with this. Where's your discipline policy? What are you going to do to the pitchers who get caught? Nothing is laid out on this yet. This is another example of arbitrary crap, and it's going to depend on who the pitcher is.
Yeah, and it doesn't shock me with MLB. I mean, there's people that are still holding out hope that they're going to change their mind and go back to the rules from last year and get the DH back in the NL. Because they never really conclusively said we're not going to have the DH in the NL.
Yeah, they just decided not to do it this year.
Yeah, such a mature attitude to have. We're just not going to talk about it.
Idiots.
Yep. Speaking of idiots, I actually have the NHL tidbit for the week. Kind of shocked me that my true blue hockey fan sitting next to me, the Conquistador, didn't know about this, but
I missed it because of work.
I don't know anything about that. Last night, the Nashville Predators played the Detroit Red Wings, and a hot mic caught referee Tim Peel basically saying he wanted to get an early penalty on Nashville. He did use a certain F-bomb that we let slip sometimes, but I'll try to maintain my decorum here. And, of course, as the Conquistador will tell you, he knows this stuff has been going on for a long, long time. But now that it's out there, now that it's on tape, it's been recorded, the NHL, fast and furious in response, they've already banned Tim Peel for life from the NHL from refereeing anymore. Now, of course, I did hear later on that the guy was going to retire at the end of the year anyway.
Yeah, so that's a lame-ass response. And every fan knows that they call the phantom penalties. they'll call a penalty for tripping on a guy who was half a rink away from the person who tripped over his own 2 feet. They want to try and let's keep it close competitively. Or Team A has committed 7 penalties in a row, so we have to call something on Team B to make sure that things even out a little bit. No, it's all a bunch of conspiracy crap. You know it happens across all sports.
Oh, well, we talk about make good penalties in the NFL and NBA all the time.
Yeah.
When they know, the refs know that they blew a call, it'll be amazingly made up for in the next 5 minutes of game time. They'll call the exact same penalty or something similar on the other team.
Yeah.
To make up for the fact that they blew the first one. So
on a guy who wasn't even near the play.
So in their eyes, 2 wrongs do make a right.
Yeah. Bull crap.
All right, kids.
Then you have Angel Hernandez in Major League Baseball who just sucks.
It's like Rick Pitino. We have to bring up Angel Hernandez every show, too. And we're not the only ones. Everybody knows he stinks. But anyway, that's it for segment 2, kids. We've got a word from our sponsor, which is us. And then we'll be right back with segment 3.
Good evening, kids. This is the conquistador, David Height.
And the maestro, Kevin Crane.
Tune in to Sports Frenzy 2.0 Weekend Edition, exclusively on Spotify and Anchor, as we regale you with news and reviews of films, literature, fine music, and television. Remember what Groucho Marx once said, "I find television very educating. Every time somebody turns on the set, I go into the other room and read a book."
Hey kids, welcome back. Segment 3, Sports Frenzy 2.0, taping on March the 24th. It's time for our weekly NASCAR recap and look ahead. Atlanta race was just this past Sunday. That would be the conquistador, Dave Height, who had Kyle Larson as his pick in our Frenzy Cup contest.
Dominated the frickin' race right until the last handful of laps. God.
Ryan Blaney ends up making it 6 for 6 this young season so far in NASCAR. So we've already got 6 playoff drivers locked in, 10 spots left.
I like it.
Yep. And we've got so many wild cards coming up, especially this weekend. It started off. We'll get to our picks for the Food City Dirt Race at Bristol in just a sec.
God, that's going to be fun.
But I have my rant about the Atlanta race. Again, as I mentioned earlier about March Madness, I just couldn't get into it this past weekend. I tried. Same thing here with the Atlanta race. I have watched every NASCAR race so far this season from beginning to end. I couldn't get through the Atlanta race.
This one was boring.
Oh, and the thing is...
pathetically boring.
As I mentioned earlier, I had Keselowski, my driver. Martin Truex, sometimes that dude pisses me off. From the start of the actual race, he couldn't get going. Kez got jammed up behind him and dropped about 5 or 6 spots. Then later on in the race, the reason why Keselowski's hood was caved in was because Truex stopped short on him. I'm like, are you freaking Mr. Costanza? What are you doing to me?
He didn't stop short. The car got loose. He chased it up the track.
You're sticking up for him. Martin Truex ruined my day.
It was a racing incident.
Ruined my day.
It was a racing incident.
And so like I said earlier, for the 3rd week in a row, I had a terrible pick. I was all happy after Daytona. I was like, I finally got through a super speedway race with massive amounts of points. Got off to a good start in our Frenzy Cup competition, and now it's all been flushed down the goddamn toilet. Now I gotta pick up the pieces here for the dirt race, which the Cup guys have never run, and I gotta figure out how the hell am I gonna survive this. We got another super speedway about a month away. We got
a beautiful
road courses
kids.
that we've never run before.
Come on, this is gonna be glorious.
And I'm the idiot who, at our winter meeting, put forth, let's make it the top 10 instead of the top 12. Get in our rules.
Hey.
Good Lord.
Hey,
I am my own worst enemy.
You were fine early on. I'm the one that was snake
You and I are
bit.
actually tied right now for points. Yeah, you're right.
I'm making my
you
charge
dug yourself
here.
a hole. You're starting to get out of it. I was on top, and now I'm back down in the hole with you. We're actually tied.
Yeah.
So, oh, Lord. All right. The dirt race, Dave. You got any insight on this?
Oh my God, this is going to be such a cluster. Oh, you know, it's anybody who's watched sprint car races on dirt know that the fields usually aren't all that big, and you're usually about a quarter-mile track, maybe usually under a half-mile. This, you're going to have 39 or 40 cars on the half-mile at Bristol, which is a bull ring. It's a lot of bumping and banging normally. This is going to be mass chaos.
Yeah, that's why I just went with the pick that everybody said would be the easiest.
The odds-on favorite?
Right. So this will tell you how little we know about the dirt track racing is that out of the 8 people on our panel, 2 drivers. We've got 2 drivers we picked. 5 of us took Kyle Larson.
Because he spent the last year being out of NASCAR racing. He was running the dirt tracks and the sprint cars.
And then 3, including you, have gone with Christopher Bell,
who also has a solid dirt track reputation and is not that far removed from it.
And of course, tonight, as we tape, they're doing the iRacing on the Bristol dirt track.
Which doesn't really help you at all.
No, I'm just hoping Kyle Larson keeps his damn mouth shut.
Yeah.
As opposed to last year.
See, the iRacing is good for like the speedways and the road courses because you can get a feel for that. Dirt racing, it's all about the actual feel of the car as the back end slides around.
So we'll see, kids. This one I'll watch. This one I will definitely watch.
This is going to, as the Big Blue W would say, this is going to be a ding-dong dilly of a race.
That is right. I do want to mention some interesting news. One of my favorite drivers of all time, Tony Stewart, got engaged.
What?
Tony, the perennial
the hound dog,
the perennial bachelor,
the hound dog.
Yes, I remember reading an article in ESPN the magazine years ago about him flirting with a flight attendant or a clerk at a small regional airport and talking, basically about how he was going to stay single for life. And nope, he is engaged.
Wow.
He's engaged to pro drag racer Leah Pruitt.
Dang.
I saw a picture and all I got to say is, good for you, Smoke! Good for you!
Way to go, Tony.
But wouldn't it figure it'd be a drag racer with Smoke?
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, man. I did want to bring up a couple things kind of off the beaten path, not the normal big league sports we talk about. Boxing is back in the spotlight again.
Coming up. Tyson back in the spotlight here, trying to come up with another exhibition bout after the yawner with Roy Jones Jr.
Yeah.
Holyfield back on the horizon. They can't come to an agreement, though.
But Tyson did say it's on for May 29th, but you're right. We also have conflicting reports saying he's turned down $25 million guaranteed. I think that's coming from Holyfield's camp.
Yeah.
So,
and you've also got Tyson coming out on social media saying he wants nothing to do with Triller Fight Club, who's trying to promote this thing. He's got a history with Triller and wants nothing to do with the guy.
So we'll see. It's boxing, so
money talks.
Probably, yeah. It's probably more likely than not. It's 50-50 it's going to happen.
Yeah. Money talks and earlobes go away.
Yummy, yummy. With a nice Chianti and some fava beans. Honestly, with boxing, though, I know Tyson Fury right now is the only name I know in boxing. I remember back 25, 30 years ago, it was Lennox Lewis, it was Holyfield, it was Tyson.
God, I was watching every damn fight out there.
Yeah, and I want to get into pay-per-view stuff later on, but,
I was watching all the pay-per-view, but going around where all the the illegal chips that allowed you to watch
right. You
that
either
stuff.
you either had a party to help defray the costs, or like you said, you go to a bar, you go somewhere where they got the hacker.
Yeah.
You know. Now I used to collect baseball cards, big time, and of course there was a huge glut in the market back there in the late '80s and early '90s. So a lot of you out there who probably stuck in the same boat as me know that a Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card that you thought was going to be gold, and you've got 3 pages of them in plastic, realize that now.
So does everybody else in the world.
If you cashed them all in, you might be able to get a steak at Ruth's Chris, which, isn't that impressive, honestly, considering you were thinking you could buy a house with them 30 years ago.
Yeah. That and a bowl of soup with a cheap golf hat.
Well, now, in our stupid, insane society, now digital cards and digital sports highlights clips, otherwise known by the wonderful name of NFT or non-fungible tokens.
The hell is a non-fungible token?
It's, all this digital stuff, the Bitcoin, all this. And now the NBA's in on this with, having you get the rights to a highlight reel. There's one with Zion Williamson that's worth thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars.
So you get it, and you're the only person who owns this, and you get residuals off of it? What the hell?
I don't think you get residuals. I think it's like a trading card where you can turn around. If Zion Williamson goes into the Hall of Fame someday, you turn around and sell it to somebody for more money than you paid for it.
That's flipping stupid.
I know. Rob Gronkowski, who always acts stupid, but is actually one of the smartest guys out there.
Oh my God,
put out an NFT card collection, 349 quote-unquote cards. And
exclusive images.
The last update I had a couple weeks ago, 348 of the cards had sold. The one rare one and only one, was still out there. But they said that was probably going to sell for tens of thousands of dollars. The 348 that he did actually sell brought in $1.2 million.
That's stupid. That's absolutely ridiculous.
This is the way things are going now. You look around my house, I got books, I got DVDs, I got CDs, and I'm an anachronism. I'm an old fart. I'm the get off my damn lawn guy because of all this stuff. Because what they want is they want you to be in a little tiny small tube with your phone, listening to music, watching on a little tiny screen, owning it all digitally.
Have you seen the movie WALL-E? With all the fat asses on the spaceship sitting in their little floating chair in their screen.
Or Idiocracy is another one. Very, very prescient like that. So, we'll see where this goes.
Get off your frickin' couch and put your damn devices away.
I'm really afraid for the future of our country and our world. I really am.
Yeah. It's not looking good, kids.
All right, going back to basketball real quick, it's time for our moments of silence. Elgin Baylor, the great Laker, passed away this past week. Him and Jerry West, formidable tandem for the Lakers.
They were unbelievable together.
Yep. This isn't really necessarily a moment of silence, but I did want to send out thoughts and prayers to Sean Bradley, former top pick in the NBA. A couple weeks ago was paralyzed in a bike accident. Very, very hard news, sad news to take. So we wish him our best. I can't remember his name, but the kid who played for the Lions, I think. And he's paralyzed. He's in a wheelchair.
Oh.
He's reached out to Sean Bradley, and he's trying to help him adjust to what life's going to be like. So we, of course, wish Sean Bradley the best. And I think it's time for our favorite segment of the week, Dave.
Dumbasses of the week.
The Red Foreman Dumbasses of the week. That's
right. And we've got them for you, kids. All right. I am going to start off going back to baseball. Cubs prospect, Jesus Camargo Corrales.
Why's it got to be a Cub?
Because they don't pay their prospects. This dumbass was caught with 21 pounds of meth and over a pound of oxy pills. Absolutely stupidity. And it was in Colorado. Dude, you're in Colorado. You should be dealing in marijuana. Come on.
He probably made the mistake and thought that the hippies out there would let you get away with anything.
Yeah, not so fast. Who do you have?
Well, I'm going to let you keep going because
right.
mine's going to... I only got one, but mine's going to be a rant. So.
Okay. Now I've got a rant on the hypocrisy of the NCAA. You see how well they tout the men's tournament. You see how beautiful the floors are with all the NCAA tourney decorations, logos everywhere. They've got their COVID bubbles, the testing. These guys are eating great. They got the workout facilities. And then you go to the South for the women's tournament. You don't see any logos down there. They had to clamor and fight to get weight equipment down there for training between games. And the food is subpar. The testing isn't anywhere near as close. They're not running the tight bubble. It's pathetic. They're supposed to be touting equality throughout all college sports. Title IX is supposed to be their big claim, and they fully dropped the ball. Absolutely pathetic. And then, all you assholes out there on social media who sent death threats to college basketball players because of a loss. Shame on you. There is no excuse for that. These kids do not deserve that type of vitriol coming from you people. You are out there.
You're trolls.
Oh my God.
You're just trolls.
I'm so pissed off I can't even talk right now.
You're trolls. Social media, if it's not used properly, and most times it's not, is a swamp. It's disgusting. It's a sewer pit of vile, nasty people who show their true colors and show the worst of humanity.
Because you're anonymous.
Because you sit in your mom's basement. Oh, wait a minute. We're in my basement. But not my mom's basement. And you rip on people without just cause. Nothing but emotion. Raw, stupid emotion without thinking through what you're doing. 5-minute rule, people. 5-minute rule. You get mad. Don't get on social media for 5 minutes. Usually you're going to calm down and this stuff goes away. And if it doesn't, then you're a psychopath. And we don't want you in society. All right, my rant. You thought that was my rant. Wait till you get to this. All right, my dumbass of the week. And he would probably be a dumbass 2-3 times a year if we could go back here over the past decade. Steve Kerr, head coach of the Golden State Warriors. Kevin, why are you upset with Steve Kerr? There's a bigger problem, and he's part of it. Steve Kerr, of course, had to jump on the anti-gun bandwagon this week after what happened in Colorado. He has to rip on Republicans. He has to rip on Ted Cruz down in Texas and say they don't know what they're doing. They've got to protect the American citizens. What if that was your family that was one of the victims or some of the victims of the shooting, the horrific shooting that happened there? My question to Steve Kerr, and I know I've seen documentaries that talked about him, and he's got a background in political science, and there was a tragedy involving his father. I get it, okay? I do. And I'm sure he's a very well-educated man. But here's my problem. With him, with Greg Popovich, with Mike Krzyzewski, obviously Rick Pitino, and Jim Boeheim, who somehow got his ass back into the Sweet 16, which, wow, we're so thankful for that. That freaking prick. Why are all the egotistical know-it-all, we're going to tell you how to live your life coaches in basketball? I don't seem to see this in the NFL. I don't seem to see this in baseball. But boy, you can just start looking and naming off all these guys running basketball teams who seem to think they can tell you how to live your life. You better listen to them, and if you don't, they're going to call you every name in the book, and that's okay because they're brilliant and you're not. Check yourself, slow your roll, Steve Kerr and all you others. You're just human beings like the rest of us, and I guarantee you there are a lot smarter people out there than you that know what they're doing when it comes to public policy and how to run the damn country and the Bill of Rights, okay? So worry about your basketball team. That's your job. That's what you get paid for. Shut up and sing, or in this case, shut up and coach. Rant is over.
Feel better?
No! I still hate them. 5-minute rule.
5-minute rule.
But you notice I didn't hurl a death threat at any of them.
No.
I will call out their hypocrisy. I will call out their nasty behavior. But in the end, they can live their life. I can live mine.
And we'll agree to disagree, but they're still dumbasses.
That's right, kids. And with that upbeat, positive note, we'll wrap up the March 24th, 2021 edition of Sports Frenzy. Be sure to check us out on Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, and our best friends at Spotify and Anchor. Be sure to check out the weekend edition exclusively on Spotify and Anchor because we get some tunes to slide in there. And that drops every Saturday. The regular Sports Frenzy podcast drops new episodes every Thursday. Be sure to tune in. It just gets better and better every week. We're 3 weeks in, refining and honing. Sounding
We're getting
great.
there. We're finding our wheels again.
That's right. I am the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the conquistador, Dave Height.
And we will see you next week, kids.